Hello, good morning and welcome to our webinar on how to increase the effectiveness of meetings with a mobile app. My name is Rosa Garriga Mora. I am the Marketing and Communications Manager of Mica, which is a mobile event app provider. We're based in Europe, in our headquarters are in Paris. And so thanks for joining us today. This is the agenda for today. So first, we will start by defining what is event effectiveness. What do I mean when I speak about effectiveness? Then we will see how mobile apps contribute to create event effectiveness, and later we will see a couple of case studies that we have worked on that show how to do this in practice. And at the end, we will do a Q&A session. So this will last for about 30 minutes. And at the end, you may ask me any questions that you have. Okay, so let's get started. So how do meetings really create value? So I've been speaking, about this many times, and when I ask this question first to event planners, many times people say things like, "Well, I know that my meeting was a success if people were happy, if the event participants were satisfied," or some even say, "I think it was a success if I meet my budget, if I can do what I want to do with the money that I have." And in my opinion, I think that it's much more than that. And I can tell you that it's just one way in which meetings create value, and that is by influencing participants to do something which adds value to stakeholders at the lowest possible cost. And here I have highlighted two words which to me are really key. The first one is to do something. This do, this verb, it's an action verb, which means that, it's not enough with just motivating people to do something, persuading them, or feeling something or thinking about something. They have to actually do something that's tangible, something that you can see. If you were at the office, when the event participants go back to their workplace, you could see them doing something differently. Or if it's a client event, you can see your clients going to your shop, whatever it is that creates value. But yeah, that do is really something physical, something that you can see. And then value. So here, value, it can have different meanings. And here I'll show you an example. This is a picture from a medical congress, and I think I always use this example because it's a great exercise of seeing what different stakeholders are in an event and what objectives they have, because sometimes they are similar but sometimes they are different. So if we think about this example of a medical congress, we have, first of all, the event owner, which is the medical society, the medical association, which could be, I don't know, the Society Against Cancer, making that up, but you get the idea. And for them, the value will be something that takes them closer to achieving their mission statement. The reason for them to exist. And for example, it could be to improve the care of their patients, of a certain illness, for example. So an event will create value when participants at that event do something different that impacts their mission statement. So let's think about another stakeholder of this congress. Let's think about the sponsors, which are the medical companies. We may have, for example, Bayer, who is, they may be sponsoring this event, and their bottom line, it's actually just making money because it's a for-profit company. So what they will want is that people who attend this event, they have a good image of the company and they know their products and maybe their sales representatives, but ultimately what they want is that people buy their products, or in this case, the doctors prescribe their their products. So in this case, the value is related to the bottom line of the company, which is making a profit. Another example of a different stakeholder in this case would be the event delegates, which probably are physicians. And for them, the value will be, for example, to get education so that they can be better at their jobs, maybe to get to know people, to network, maybe people that they can do research with, whatever it is. So the main message is that at every event, we have different stakeholders and they will have different objectives. So how we create value, we have to look at who the stakeholder is and what's their bottom line, their ultimate objective. And that can be money, which if it's the case of a company, or it can be something else in the case of, let's say, associations or NGOs, so and so on. Okay, so to put this into context, how do we make the connection between the event and the value that's created after the event? Here, I would like to speak a little bit about the ROI methodology. ROI stands for return on investment. This methodology was created by someone called Jack Phillips from the ROI Institute, and he's based in the US, and he's been applying this framework for over 30 years in many different disciplines. Events is just one of them. And I find this is very switchable just to see how events create value or event effectiveness. So if we look at the pyramid, if we start at the top we have the ROI, which is just if the event was profitable or not. And then we have the impact. The impact is a value that I was telling you about, which in the case of the medical congress, for the medical society, the impact will be related to their mission statement. Okay, so in order for for the event to be worthwhile, there must be a change in the behavior of the participants that creates an impact. So in this case, for example, let's say the physicians attending this congress will learn some new techniques that will enable them to treat their patients better. Therefore, they will be meeting the goal of the medical society. So that's why we have behavior below impact. And if we want to make a change in the behavior of someone, first they have to learn something new. There must be a cognitive change. And this could be learning new information, learning new skills, and so on. Okay. So as you can see, this is a value chain. In order for the impact to happen, there must be a change in the behavior, and in order to happen a behavioral change, there must be a change as well in the learning of someone. And for all of this to happen, we also have to have an effective learning environment. And this I will go into detail in the next slides, but this is basically what happens during the event so that people get the new information in an effective way, in a way that they learn what they have to learn. And finally, at the bottom, we have the target audience, which means that, in order for everything else to happen, we must have the right people in the room. So the people that will make us meet our objectives. So in a nutshell, really briefly, this is the core of the ROI methodology. And now I'm just going to move on to the learning environment. So how do event apps make your meetings more effective? The main answer, the short answer, is that they make your meetings more effective by influencing the learning environment, what we have just seen in the pyramid. It makes the learning environment more effective, so people learn more, and therefore it's more likely that they will change their behavior, and your company will meet its goals. Here I have a bold statement. My statement is that most learning environments are actually not effective. Here, this is I found this comic cartoon, and it's quite funny, but it's actually quite true. No, it says we have just time for just one long-winded, self-indulgent question that relates to nothing that we've been talking about. And I'm sure it's happened to you before. There are only 10 minutes for question and answers, and it just happens that the person that gets to ask the question only wants maybe to talk about himself or herself or whatever it is. So many times the Q&A sessions are not effective. Other times the speaker is not engaging enough, or maybe the content is not relevant. It can be many reasons, but I find that many events have a lot of room for improvement in terms of learning environment. And here, this is not only my belief, but here I have some data to show it to you. So Media Maker did some research last year. This is a survey done between event participants. It was around 100 people that did the survey. And some of the main findings are, for example, this one, 82% of the delegates fail to fully engage with event content. This is a huge number. And obviously, if they cannot engage with our event content, it's unlikely that they will change their behavior. There are some fun facts about this. 42% of them admitted that they write shopping lists instead of taking notes during meetings. 18% of them said that they fake urgent phone calls to be able to leave the room. Even 23% of them take longer bathroom breaks to help pass the time. So yeah, this is quite sad. Only 18% of them view events as an opportunity to learn. And as we see, this is a problem because one of the main, what will make an event effective is the learning environment. So if it's not working, the meeting is probably not going to be worthwhile. And finally, 48% of them are too shy to ask questions. And here at our company, we see this very often, that when people are using a mobile app, they are able to ask more questions because obviously it doesn't matter if they are shy or not. So what does all this bring us? As I was saying, mobile apps help to improve the learning environment by, for example, allowing people who maybe they are shy, allowing them to ask questions through the app. So then you get everyone to ask questions, and then maybe the moderator can see what questions are more interesting and relevant, and only talk about those during the Q&A session. So the Q&A session will be much more meaningful. But there are other ways. For example, we may share the slides of the presenter after the session, so people can come back to it. We may also share an agenda so that people can prepare for the sessions in advance. And while there are many ways in which you can use mobile event apps to improve the learning during an event. Secondly, we have a big benefit, which is the ability to increase networking. So with a mobile app, now you have the ability to search who is attending the event, search by name, by company, by country, by different criteria. You can send them a message, a meeting request. Sometimes you can also have a public chat where everyone can talk. And yeah, so it's just a way for facilitating networking, which is one of the main reasons why people go to events. Then we also have the benefit of extending the event lifespan. This means that even if the event has finished, we can still keep sharing content, or maybe that this networking chat can still be open, and many other things that we can do, so that even if the event finishes, today, within 1 week, several weeks, or even a couple of months, we can keep engaging with our event participants and therefore influencing their learning and their behavioral change. Here there are a couple more benefits that we get when using event apps. First one is boosting engagement. So there are many fun things that we can do with event apps, like we have quizzes, voting. We can have, for example, lots of social media activity. We can have, for example, Instagram, or ways in which people can share pictures with one another, and many other things that can make people become more engaged throughout the event. And obviously that will help them with learning more information too. And finally, we have seamless user experience, which is, so in the event app, we also have the ability to share a map on how to get to the venue, practical information. You can send push notifications letting people know things like, well, the coffee break is now starting, or there has been a change in the room number, or this speaker has been cancelled, and so on, which all of these will make will improve the experience of our attendees, and will probably enhance the learning environment as well. So, and also we have analytics. As you may know, everything that happens in an event app is recorded. Everything gets recorded, and so at the end, we're able to get lots of information on, the usage of the app, but also we can get all the questions recorded, all the results from the surveys, from quizzes, everything that we do in the app, and this will obviously help us to plan an event better the next time. So to sum up, we have as main benefits to improve the learning, to increase the networking, and to extend the event lifespan. All of this will create an effective learning environment that hopefully will lead to a behavioral change that will make your meeting worthwhile. And now I'm going to move on to the case studies. These are 3 events that we have worked on, and I believe they are a good example of what this means in practice. The first one is about a trade show. This is a trade show that was it's about franchises. It's called the Franchise Expo. It takes place in Paris, and there were over 30,000 people coming to this trade show from all over the world, and they used an event app to enable networking. So people were able to search who they wanted to meet by different criteria. They were able to send them a private message to ask for a meeting, and you can tell this was very effective in being able to meet the people you wanted to meet, because obviously when there is so many of them, it's difficult. So this was very helpful, and in fact the organizers found it so useful that they decided to keep it open throughout the year. So the trade show lasts for a few days, but then throughout the rest of the year, people can still use a matchmaking app to be able to find useful contacts. And here as well, the organizer was able to see what exhibitors were the most interesting, and that, and how many visits they had, how many messages incoming, and lots of useful data for them. The second case is from a company called SNCF, which is a huge company in France, and what they wanted to do was to have a brainstorming session with their top executives. 1,200 top executives came together in a room, and what they did was they had an iPad with our app, and first of all they worked on the challenges that they have at the company, and yeah, they sent them through the app. Then an MC, a moderator, went through them and chose the most relevant ones, and then they get to work on they got to do a brainstorming session on solutions to solve those challenges. And so everyone was able to input their solutions and to see everyone else's solutions and vote on the best, and then the moderator chose the ones that were more popular. So you can tell that there was lots of input coming in just a short time, and this was thanks to a digital solution that enabled all that feedback to take place. And finally, we have a case from WISE, which is the World Innovation Summit for Education, organized by the Qatar Foundation. In this case, this was a conference that gathered more than 1,000 people from all over the world. And it was a conference, so there were many sessions, many educational sessions. And they used the app, well, for many things, but one of them was to facilitate the Q&A sessions. So overall, they received over 500 questions, 160 questions, in fact, 560 questions. So you can tell it's a lot of questions again, and that made it, that people were able to engage much better using the app. And they also had a networking service, they had a social wall, they had resources where they shared all the presentations from the speakers, they had a personalized agenda. So all in all, made for a very engaging and effective experience for all the attendees. So this is the end of my presentation, and now if you have any questions, you can just type them in the comments box, or you can also send me an email to my email address, which is rosa.garriga@mica.com, and I will get back to you. So thank you so much for listening us today. I hope this